fancy pants. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. One time I did not put that in and the internet went a little wonky. All right, so happy Tuesday. I actually don't even think I need my woolly sweater. It's getting kind of warm in the afternoon. So it's 4 o'clock my time, and then the sun comes in right there on the other side. So it rises on this side of the studio and then it comes in on that side of the studio. So it gets a little warm. So how are you guys? Let me know where you are watching me from. So fun to find out, like, where are you guys all from? If you hear a little ruckus, I have to warn you, my child came home from spring break for spring break. And all of his friends are here outside and they're like trying to play basketball. I'm like, can you guys wait just like 15 minutes? Can you not just do that? I'm so happy when my kids are home and now the dog's all wound up. So we'll just ignore them. All right. So what I want to chat about today is something that is just so much fun for me. And it's all about art retreats. All right. So art retreats is okay. I want to tell you some of the ones I've been on and tell you some of the ones I'm doing. But at first, I didn't even know what an art retreat was like all about. So there's in-person retreats and then there's online retreats, and you can do, during COVID, during the pandemic, there was lots of virtual retreat kind of things. But it was about 12 years ago, maybe 13 years ago, 12 years ago. It was after Mark's mom had passed away. She used to go on retreats all the time. And so I was working, I was raising my kids, I was just dabbling into the arts. And I remembered that she loved to go on retreats. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go and see what is that all about. So the first one I ever went on was about an hour and a half drive, or maybe 2 hours. It was up in Petaluma, and I still stayed overnight. So you can find local retreats and go there for the day and then come home and sleep at your house and then go back again. And I'm going to talk to you about some of those I've done. This first one was 3 days, and it was called, I had to write it down because I can always forget this one. It was called Call of the Wild Soul. Isn't that amazing? It was with Erin Faith. I'm blanking on her last name. I think it's something else, but and Tracy Verdugo was there. Alena Hennesey was teaching. There was like 3 other teachers. Oh, and Tisha Moore was teaching, and that is who I found out about this retreat, was through Tisha Moore, because I had just done her online class. So this retreat was so much fun. It was a little mix of, you got to pick the artist you want to go and paint with, like, in advance. So you had a lesson in the morning, and you had a lesson. It was all day was one lesson, and then you had lunch, and then the next day was a different teacher, and then the third day was a different teacher. And so I had Alena Hennesey on the first day, I had Tracy Verdugo on the second day, and Tisha Moore on the third day. I mean, how awesome is that? Those 3 teachers are fabulous. And I know somebody had asked too, somebody had commented on one of my YouTube tea chats. They wanted more links to some of these artists that I'm talking about. So once this live is over, I will go add more links. It just may take me a little bit for it to upload, but I will add links to these artists, because I think it's important when I'm talking about somebody that's inspiring to me. You may like to go do a little research on them. All right, so that was one. That was fabulous. So I went to that, and I remember it was my kids, like, was in the flag football Super Bowl championships. And I remember driving home from the retreat, going right to the little Super Bowl. I think they were like, 8 years old, or I don't know, little, teeny little things. And just feeling like I came home so inspired and in like a different world. And I think that was like the beginning of me realizing that art was such a powerful thing, that I had not given myself the time to tap into it. And I think when you go on these art retreats, these 2 day, 3 day, 1 week, whatever, it really makes you kind of be immersed in that creativity, but also with people. So I think almost every retreat I've ever gone to, I have met somebody who's still in my life today. Hold on. Oh my God, I'm chugging my tea, but I have so many of these I want to chat about, so I don't know how long it's going to be. And I'm nervous there's going to be like a kid. flying in my art studio any second. All right, so I met this woman at this retreat and she became one of my friends. She lived in Santa Cruz and we were wearing the same kind of boots. We were wearing Ugg boots in this retreat and she looked at me and she said, "You must be from Santa Cruz because you're wearing those boots." Ugg boots are like really fun. They're lined inside with sheepskin woolish stuff and they're just like a beach surf boot, whatever. Anyway, my point is like you just never know who you are going to sit next to. And I happened to sit next to this woman. She looked down at my feet and she's like, "Oh my gosh." And we became friends and are still friends to this day. And that was like 12 years ago. So the next one so once I did the one, I came home so inspired. Now I was working full time, but I was so inspired that I told my husband, I'm like, "I need to do another one of these." These retreats. I need to get out of Dodge and go make art with friends and girls and fun and food and wine. I mean, who doesn't want to do that? So I remember it was like another year and Tracy Verdugo was going around the country. She did this like massive tour. I think she did like 30 retreats in a row or some crazy amount. And in the first one she went on, the first stop of her US leg, I mean, that's how many she was doing. She had like a whole leg of United States. And then she did a whole leg of Europe. And she's in Australia. So I think she did like a mini leg over there. So it was called Paint Mojo. I'm pretty sure it's called, I'm looking at the book down there. I'm pretty sure it's called Paint Mojo. And I've told this story before because it's so awesome. That was a 5-day workshop in Palm Desert, California. I drove there and it was like a 7-hour drive. I took, like, this was the biggest chunk of time I've ever been away from my kids. I was really nervous. Could my husband take care of my children? Is that even possible? I was working, pretty much full time, took the time off and loaded up the car with art supplies, not even knowing at all what to expect. I mean, so, doing a 1-day course or a 5-day course, there's a lot you're going to get from a 5-day course. And so Tracy had us work on a few pieces, a few big canvases. And I was like, the first day she had all these tables set up and in walks this girl. I call her girls because I felt like we were girls. And I think I was 45. And, oh gosh, I might have even been older. I don't know. I felt like a girl, like a kid. And I was so happy. And there was one space that was at the end, and in walks Jen or Jennifer Bonneteau. Do you guys know who I'm talking about? She's awesome. She's one of my really good friends. And I always mess up her last name because it's French. She walks in like this ray of sunshine and energy ball. And if you know Jen, she loves bright colors. She loves to have fun. She loves playing. I was talking about her on my other tea chat last week. So I sat next to Jen and we had a great time. And 5 days is a long time, I think, to paint some big paintings. It was like perfect for us, but it could have been like, we could have probably done that in a 3-day and that would have been fine too. Because by the time I was on the 5th day of my painting, I was like, this painting's awful. And I brought it home and I painted over it. But it was early days for me. I was just getting used to, painting as it was on the weekends. But I got a lot of inspiration from that retreat. All right, so then I can't remember in order. I was trying to remember this morning. Like I can't remember the exact order, but what I'd like to do is try to do one a year if I could. Like that was my goal. Like, can I get to one a year? So I did a few of them. Once I started to be a little bit more serious about wanting to sell my art, I did a couple business ones, and you may know this artist, Rae Roberts, and she was with a woman named Beth Kempton, and they did a retreat called Hello Soul. Hello Soul and hello something else, but hello Soul, Soul. And this retreat was Oh, hi, Judy. Oh my gosh, you're so awesome. I was just talking to Jen. I'm trying to do a retreat with Jen. Wouldn't that be amazing? Okay. So anyway, Hello Soul was a business retreat and it was in Santa Cruz Mountains and it was this beautiful location, but I was able to go there during the day and come home. And I've met a bunch of people who I'm still connected through in the business world. And they were just, Kelly was like teaching us all the different things if you were thinking about running your own business. And she was fantastic to talk to. And so was Beth Kempton. They had a class so that then I took about how to create your own online course, which is funny because it was years later that I did one. But that was Hello Soul. Hello Beautiful Hello Soul. Yes, that was it. It was like two. Kelly Rae is up in, I think she's in Sisters, Oregon, somewhere like that. And she's in Oregon. She's such a beautiful, amazing, kind, and thoughtful teacher. And she has a line. You guys might, do I have anything right in front of me? She has a line of, she does a lot of licensing and you see her work. Oh, hold on. There's something right here. Let me just show it to you. I think this is her. Oh yeah. Could you imagine if it wasn't her? And it was somebody who was like stealing her work. But Kelly Rae does like a whole line of product and things. She has an online store and she's getting into more and more beautiful art. I have a few of her products around, but she's just a wonderful human being and just very heartfelt. And so I will link to her too. Kelly Rae is pretty awesome. Beth Kempton, the other teacher, did a book called Wabi Sabi. And she talks about the imperfect art and the imperfect. And Wabi Sabi is a Japanese sort of, it's a belief that there's so much beauty in the imperfect, which I think is fabulous. So Beth was there too. And the two of them together taught us about art and business. So that was really fun. So we didn't get to create, but we got to work on some business ideas. All right, and so then from Jen, here's how it all connects, okay? So if you can follow me, we're connecting some dots. So when I met Jen at the very second art retreat, we just stayed in contact. And I remember exactly where I was because this next person has been so pivotal, not pitiful, oh my God, pivotal in my life. God, I hope she's not listening to this. So Jen emailed me and she said, Jeanne Oliver has a online business class. She's doing an in-person retreat called Creatively Made Business. Do you want to go? I'm like, who is that? So I looked her up and I love Jeanne as much. I love her to pieces, and Renee, who I'm going to talk to you about in a minute. But their art they look more alike than Jen and I do. Like, so Jeanne, she does not paint in hot pink at all. She's not getting painting with this color. They always laugh at me. Whenever I go to Jeanne's workshop, she has paint just for me. But Jen had emailed me and said her workshops get sold out like in minutes. So I just was like, okay, Jen, whatever you want to do, like, it's fine. Okay, good, let's do it. So we signed up and I went, and Jeanne lives in Colorado. And I told my husband, I'm like, by the way, I need to go to this business retreat in Colorado. All right, so going to Jeanne's workshop, and this was a year before the 2019. I go with Jen to Jeanne's workshop. Now, Jeanne takes workshops and retreats to another level. So I've been on all these retreats. Then I go to Jeanne's, and it's like Christmas. Her workshops are like opening up a Christmas present. I can't describe it in words. It's only feelings, but she loves on you so much. And it was the most beautiful experience I've had. And this was a business retreat, but I met Renee there, Renee Mueller, who I'm going to talk about in a minute. And so Jen was there and Renee was there. And other people who wanted to sell their art, and it was like 21 women. And then Jeanne gifted us a 6-month sort of window of a, I would say like a little mastermind. It was all the people who took her class. We were all together in a group. And I continued to stay really good friends with Renee. But Jen and I had a great time. Fast forward to another retreat that blah, 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 Renee and I went to, another one of Jean's, and it was an art retreat called Poets and Misfits. And we just wanted an excuse to go to Jean's again and also to go hang with each other. So we did that. Okay, and so then they all connect. Jeanne and Renee and I were having dinner one night at one of Jean's workshops. After dinner, Jeanne took Renee and I out to dinner, and we were chatting, and they looked at me and they said, we're going on a retreat to Italy. You have to come. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, are you guys crazy? Like, there's no way I can go to, to Italy. My kids were still in high school. I hadn't traveled abroad since before I was married. I had kids, I raised them. I wasn't like wandering off to Italy. Plus, I'm in California. That's quite a ways away. So anyway, they looked at me and were like, no, you have to go. I said, oh, I don't know. I don't think that's a good idea. It's so much money. I don't think I should go. I had every excuse not to go. And then I don't remember if it was Renee or Jeanne. They looked at me and they said, all right, has your husband ever spent a lot of money on something and not told you? God, I hope my husband's not listening. And I was like, well, yes, he just bought a $6,000 bike, like some carbon fiber filler bike. And they're like, well, there you go. So that night I signed up, and I was sitting with Renee. We were at our Airbnb, and I signed up for this trip to Italy. I didn't know who was putting it on. I knew nothing about it. This was the year before I went. I knew nothing. All I knew is they were saying it was the following year, but I had to sign up because it's going to be sold out and it's going to be incredible. I believe Jeanne and I believe Renee. And this retreat was run through Daune Pitman, and she runs the Cottage table experience. And so this trip changed my life. In a way, I can't say it changed my life completely, but it changed the way I thought of travel and how important it is to go on retreats and to soak in the experience of another culture, place, art, all of it. So it wasn't an art retreat. It was just more of a cultural retreat. We were in Lake Como for 10 days, and it was one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. And Renee and I were housemates together, and we all stayed in one big villa. If you've been following me, you know the story of that. There's posts. You can scroll down on my Instagram and see like the most amazing, incredible, beautiful. I fell in love with Italy. Last time I traveled abroad was in 2021, 2020. It's not 20. It is 20. It's 2001 was the last time I traveled. So a long time ago. And I realized that I needed this experience to fill me up. So the trip I took to Italy, I see if it's like right by me. Yes. Okay, so that trip I took to Italy, to Lake Como, I came back and I created her, look at this sweet girl, Bella Flora. This is a class that I teach or taught. It's an online class. But all of the colors and the richness and this beautiful palette all came from this trip to Italy and 2 years ago. I can't even do all my math. Anyway, I was so high on life and filled up. It was an experience that was like, I need to do this. I have to keep on doing. This is what life is about. This is what life is to do, is to not do the same thing every day and be in your own studio or be on your kitchen table creating or having the same job. It's about going out of your like everyday world and doing something really fun. And I know we can't all do this. Like, trust me, it was a lot for me to go to Italy. I saved and I saved, and I don't even think I told my I don't even think I told my husband for like 3 or 4 weeks. And I remember we were sitting there like, So by the way, I put a deposit down on, remember that bike you bought? So I went on this trip. I figured out how to pay for it. And then when I was on the trip and I met Daune, Dawn does the same thing as Jeanne. Dawn loves on you and gifts you and is generous and makes you feel like you're on, like you're just in another incredible world of beauty. And on the trip, I'm sitting next to Dawn on a boat in Lake Como, like a little speedboat going from one island to another. And she's like, I said, what are you doing after this? And she's like, oh, I'm going to go to the Amalfi Coast. I'm planning a retreat there. But what I'm really excited about is I'm planning a retreat to Tuscany next year. I was like, oh, well, that's exciting. And so I planted the seed in my head. She planted the seed in my head. I followed up with her and I said, listen, I really want to get on that wait list for Italy, for Tuscany, because Italy is a very near and dear to my heart. So fast forward to last October, Renee couldn't go on the trip, but guess what I did? I called Jen and I said, hey, Jen, there's this amazing opportunity. They're going to go fast. Do you want to be with me? And so Jen and I went on that retreat together. And that was like bananas amazing. It made like it was just so amazing. Maybe I should show you guys some of my photos next time of that place. All right. So the whole thing is like they all connect. And I wanted to tell you that every single time I go on these trips, sometimes I know people, sometimes I don't. But I usually always find new people to connect to, and then that will lead to something else, and that will lead to something else, and you never know it. So one of the things that Renee and I have been talking about is doing a retreat here at my house. And we've been talking about it for about a year, trying to figure it out because Lukey, my youngest, is now, can you guys see like the birds going crazy back there? Lukey, my youngest, is going to college. I will cry my eyes out on YouTube, probably in August when he leaves. And he's leaving. And so I thought, you know what? Let's do a retreat at my house. The beach is down the street and the forest is behind me. And so today was the day, and I'm going to link to it in the notes, that we put a wait list out. And next week we are going to open it up. But it's in September of this year. And September is an amazing place for a retreat. And then in May, in seven weeks, I'm taking a group to the south of France. Now, I'm not running it. We're going to an incredible location. And I just get to show up and paint and play with these amazing women. There's about 12 of us. And we're going to be in the south of France in mid-May. And then, oh my God, it just is like crazy. It gets so good. And then next July, I signed on to do a retreat in Ireland to teach. And I literally just hit the button. Wendy, 1 second, I'm going to tell you. And I literally just hit the button on my computer. And I am looking at doing Italy and maybe Spain next year to teach. So there's so many opportunities, and it's just come full circle from being a student of all different types of gathering, like all of the things that I love about retreats, all of the just fun and play and letting go and just having the best time. Now I get to go do it and teach it and get paid to do it. I mean, that is like, I was telling my sons, one of my sons is studying entrepreneurship at San Diego State, SDSU. And he came home and I was telling him about these different ideas I'm doing and things. And I remember I'm like, I don't want to sound like pompous or braggy. I just wanted you to know that as an entrepreneur in this day and age, the world is at your fingertips. He's 19 years old. He wants to be in business. He wants to study being an entrepreneur. And I'm just trying to share with him, like, look at your mom, go. Oh my God, he was very excited. I'm very, very silly right now. It's the tea. It happens every time I do the tea. Wendy, I will be in Gordon, and it's about a 6-hour train ride from Paris. My girlfriend Holly, one of my dearest friends I've known for 25 years, has decided to come on this trip as a student. and we are going to stay in Paris for a few days in advance. I really hope I'm going to figure out a way to hop on lives to be able to like just check in and show you guys what's happening. Anyway, I hope this does not come across as braggy or, well, maybe you can't do that. But I do want you to know that there's still lots of opportunities to find art retreats that are day retreats and in your local community. And sometimes it's just a matter of you shut down the noise. You're just sort of like, okay, I just want to be in a different place for one day. I just want to go somewhere for one day and learn from somebody, be with other people, usually, you know, amazing people the same as you, just want to create, and then you can go home and go back to normal, go back to your life. But being on retreats, if you can do it, it is worth it. It is worth the investment. I struggled for the first few retreats that I ever went to with like, who am I to go on a retreat? Like, that's not, like, I can't afford it, and I can't do that to my family, and they need me, and all of the excuses. And you know what? I could afford it. I figured out a way to pay for it. Maybe I made a new class, or I might have done some more Zooms, or I did, you know, another teaching gig just to pay for it. But I'll tell you what, it paid back to me in dividends of just being more creative with more ideas and meeting new people. And so that's what today's topic is all about, is just to, if something comes your way and lands in your life of here's an opportunity, whether it's a local retreat, whether it's a 3-day retreat, whether it's a European retreat, it is so worth the time and the investment. So just keep your eyes and ears open. If you have any questions about the ones I've gone on or what I'm doing, feel free to reach out. I am going to drop in the links to Jeanne and all these people I talked about, Jeanne and Daune and Betty. Oh, and then I did one of Betty Franks, who was here last week. She's 30 minutes away from me, and she was doing a 2-day retreat in a beautiful gallery. And we went downstairs, and the whole room was where she did her workshop. So it wasn't really a retreat as much as a workshop. I still call them retreats because I sort of left my day and I went there and then I came home. And so to me, that cost was a lot less, and it was great. And Betty and I became such good friends because of that. So I have never been on a retreat or a workshop where I was like, well, that was a dud and I didn't meet anybody. Usually there's always somebody that's supposed to be there that you're supposed to meet, and they're going to end up still being in your life. So, all right, I can hear my kids very restless outside. They want like to go do something, and I can hear them. So have an awesome day, evening, and tomorrow, I think what I want to talk about tomorrow is color. So I hope you can join me for just a little color fun. And I'm sorry this one went a little longer. I got really excited about this topic. So oh, you are so welcome. Thank you for hopping on, and I hope you had your tea or your wine or your coffee or whatever. All right, you guys, I will see you tomorrow. Okay, bye.